Nice one.
That was the best we've seen him yet.
Just normal, right?
He's still not normal, but he's still like a professional heavyweight boxer. He's still terrifying.
No, I'm not saying he's.
Joe Rogan did not only have his doubts cleared, he also had his mind blown away after changing upon Mike Tyson's most recent training footage. Mike Tyson does have superpower, and he uses the power quite well to silence his naysayers and instill belief into his doubters. While Joe Rogan is proudly supporting Mike Tyson heading into the fight, having been singing Mike Tyson's praises ever since the fight was announced and emphasizing the fact that Mike Tyson isn't just made of iron, and neither is he only the baddest man on the planet, but he's also an alien who's very much different from any other 58-year-old anywhere in the world.
Jake Paul's dead. He's dead. He's not going to make it. So you have to say, how much has Mike Tyson lost from that 20-year-old guy in the 37 years since then, which is crazy. It'll be 38 by the time they fight.
Well, like many other Mike Tyson supporters, once he had his health scare in May, even his hardcore fans like Joe Rogan had their faith waver for a while. However, this footage that was just released ahead of the fight in a few days was the final piece that sealed Joe Rogan's faith in Mike Tyson.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5.
There were a couple of training footage that he saw. First, on seeing one of the footage where he was hitting the pads and jacket on Rafael Cordeiro, Joe Rogan was blown away as he exclaimed in utmost astonishment. But that wasn't all. Just a moment later, he chanced on the sparring footage where Mike Tyson knocked out his sparring partner, and that was it.
Nice left hook. Up.
Was good for today.
Yeah.
I took it.
You sure?
Yeah, me
Yes. You fucking sure?
Others may have seen a sparring partner, but all Joe Rogan saw was Jake Paul. And despite the fact that he has openly acknowledged severally that Jake Paul can fight, as he's shown some impressive displays against Tommy Fury, Mike Perry, and the likes, he has no doubt now that Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out in some explosive fashion. New footage shows veteran fighter Mike Tyson dropping a sparring partner just 8 days before he attempts to roll back the years with a vintage performance against notorious internet sensation Jake Paul in a crossover bout which will count on their official records, broadcast to a potentially massive audience on Netflix from the Atant Stadium in Arlington, Texas. One of the most famous athletes of all time, Tyson shook up the boxing world when he became the youngest heavyweight champion in his sport's history, defeating Trevor Berbick with ease to lift the WBC title aged 20 years and 4 months.
Sure? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. You sure? Yeah. Fuck with me, all right?
Nope.
Let's do this.
You did great.
We're done.
We're gonna do it.
You sure? Yes.
Yeah.
Trust me. I got a lot in me.
Paul by no means has the combat experience that Tyson showed at the elite level through the 1980s and 1990s, but has an age advantage on his side as he's 31 years younger than his famous opponent. That age gap has been a source of controversy, as events such as this would normally fit in the exhibition realm, yet the Texas regulating body has sanctioned the event as a real, legitimate contest where knockouts are permitted. Perhaps in a response to his fiercest critics, who say this fight should not go ahead as it's currently planned, Tyson exhibited his historic power by sending one training partner to the canvas in a recently released clip. In promotional footage, Most Valuable Promotions released Wednesday, Tyson is seen warming up, hitting the heavy bag, and going through his preparations to fight Paul. Sparring a training partner far younger than he is, his ringcraft and famed power appear to still be there, albeit diminished from his prime years as an athlete 30 years ago. Tyson can be seen throwing punches at his opponent against the ropes, much to the joy of a hype man in the distance calling it excellent. Then he overpowers his opponent by again backing him to the ropes and dropping him with a solid shot to the midsection. "We're done," the coach says. "The job is over. We're done."
It's great. Hit and don't get hit. Can't beat it. Keep that weight forward. Come up punching.
The footage does not give too much away, but if body shots are a strategy for the Paul fight, it could well be a way of keeping Paul at bay. particularly as the younger fighter has shown evidence in previous fights that he's not as effective later on in his bouts than he is in the opening rounds. Providing Tyson himself has the endurance for a longer fight, then he may well be planning to grind Paul down. This was enough to convince Joe Rogan, who was beginning to exaggerate Jake Paul's youthful advantage over Tyson's power and experience. Not like he wanted to, but a sad reality was kicking in on Tyson's supporters, and only a performance as convincing as his recent sparring footage could renew their hope.
He's a real fighter. He can fight. He can, and if Mike Tyson and him are fighting and Mike can't catch him, and Mike has bad knees, if his back's bad.
Speaking with actor Russell Crowe, Rogan weighed in on the fight between Paul and Tyson, along with the widespread concerns about Tyson taking this fight while nearing 60 years of age. 58 is 58, no matter what you're taking, and what they're doing for you, you're still 58, Rogan said on a recent episode of his podcast. But 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones that lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being. He can still knock your head into another dimension if he can catch you. The fight was originally scheduled to take place in July before Tyson withdrew due to a medical emergency, but the Boxing Hall of Famer and former heavyweight champ has been medically cleared and is back to training in preparation for his in-ring return.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with him physically. It's hard to tell from a guy just hitting pads. When he's hitting those pads, he looks great.
After Tyson's removal from the contest, Paul went on to face Mike Perry instead and stopped the BKFC star in round 6. Rogan, a longtime color UFC commentator, sees Paul as a boxer who doesn't get enough credit. The thing is, can Tyson catch a 28-year-old guy who is at the top of his career, who is winning legitimate boxing matches? Rogan asked. He's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. Jake had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who is a legitimate boxer. That was a very good fight. And he just beat up Mike Perry, who was a bare-knuckle champion. He's a real fighter. He can fight. And if Mike Tyson and him are fighting, and Mike can't catch him, then it's hard to tell.
What do you think of the thing with Mike, though?
58 is 58.
Yeah.
No matter what you're taking and what they're doing for you, and you're still 58.
While Joe Rogan had so much to say about Mike Tyson's personality and terrifying presence, he was still giving Jake Paul a chance until this new footage. About Mike Tyson's terrifying presence, Joe Rogan found that out the hard way when he invited Iron Mike on his popular podcast while the former undisputed heavyweight champion was preparing for an exhibition bout with Roy Jones Jr. in 2020.
He's the reason why this table's so wide.
Why is that?
Because I was going to make the table more narrow and be closer to the guests. I had him on once when he was retired and he was much heavier.
The UFC commentator's previous interactions with Mike Tyson were all happy and mellow, but he says something switched when the heavyweight icon booked a fight. Ahead of Tyson's upcoming clash with Jake Paul on November 15th, Rogan has recalled the drastic action he took after feeling a bit too close to the feared knockout artist during their pre-fight chat. Earlier this year, during a conversation with comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, Rogan discussed Tyson's savage mode that switches on when he's got a fight coming up.
He was smoking a lot of weed, and he was contemplative and, interesting and philosophical and just a fun guy to hang out with. And then I had him on again when he was about to fight Roy Jones Jr.
The 57-year-old explained that he changed the shape of his podcast table to create more distance between him and his guests after a terrifying chat with Tyson. Rogan said, "He's terrifying when he's in the zone. I changed the shape of the table because of him." This table, we had a table that was this size at the old studio, and at the new studio, I was like, maybe we'll make the table smaller. It'll be more intimate. I'll be closer to the guests. So we had Mike Tyson in when he was 300 pounds, and he was just eating and having fun and smoking weed. He goes, "I don't even work out. If I work out, I'll excite my ego, and I don't like that person."
And he had lost about 60 pounds.
Right.
He looked shredded. He had muscles bulging in his arms, and he was very intense.
Right.
It was like a completely different human being, and he was terrifying.
Then he got this offer to fight Roy Jones Jr. So he gets in insane shape, and the next time I see him, the second podcast we do, Mike now weighs 230 pounds, and he's got these muscles in his forearms. So he's sitting there and he's a different human. He's so intense that I was like, if this table was closer to him, I'd be nervous. Like I wouldn't be able to do my best job as a podcaster. That's literally the reason why this table is this width, is because of the second podcast with Mike Tyson. Many people are concerned about Tyson coming out of retirement 2 decades after his last professional fight, especially against someone who is 31 years his junior.
Because being in the room was fucking terrifying. And I said, you know what? This table needs to be a little wider.
I'm glad it wasn't only me.
Yeah, I just don't want to be that close to him. He fucking scares me.
Right.
Roy Jones Jr. fancies him to cause an upset, but Rogan hates that Tyson feels the need to return to the ring 2 years before he turns 60. I wish he didn't do it. I wish it wasn't a thing, he told UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad on the JRE podcast in September. I wish it wasn't a thing where a 58-year-old guy was going to fight a 27-year-old. That said, I fully support his desire to do it. What, is he going to live forever? No, he's not going to live forever, and maybe he wants one more shot at it. Maybe his body can do one more fight.
You're still 58. Yeah. But 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones that lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being. Yeah. He still can...
He looks great on the mitts, but it's like I can look good on the mitts, especially if you're watching 30-second clips. What you want to see is him sparring or hitting the bag for multiple rounds. I want to see how your feet move, if you're off balance when you throw combinations. But he's 58. I love that guy. I'm a gigantic fan of his. The question is, how much does he have left today? 58 today is not 58 when I was 21. It's a different 58, and especially if they're not testing him. How much does he want to do it? Is he doing it for money? How much does he have left in the tank? Those are all questions that'll make me buy the PPV.
Knock your fucking head into another dimension if he can catch you.
Yeah.
The thing is, can he catch a 28-year-old guy who's at the top of his career, who's winning legitimate boxing matches?
I'm going to feel bad if he gets knocked out. Conventional wisdom would say that this is a terrible fight. Conventional wisdom would say there's a 28-year-old with knockout power, real fast, young, freaking athletic, and bold as hell. But after being convinced, Joe Rogan has now given his verdict on the upcoming Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing match and believes the retired boxer could pull off a win, despite concerns about Tyson's health. Tyson and Paul are set to participate in Netflix's first ever living boxing event. It was initially scheduled to take place on July 20th, but the 58-year-old had to postpone due to an ulcer flare-up, so the fight will now take place on November 15th.
It's either going to be Jake Paul's going to find out that 58-year-old Mike Tyson is still a motherfucker, or we're going to find out that 58-year-old men are 58-year-old men no matter what they look like.
Right.
And Jake Paul is a 28-year-old athlete in the prime of his life.
Yeah.
You know, it was a real...
During a recent Joe Rogan Experience podcast episode, Rogan discussed with actor Russell Crowe why Tyson could still be a threat despite his age. He's Paul, a very good boxer. He trains hard. He can fight, Rogan said of the YouTuber turned boxer. 58 is 58 no matter what, but 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones who lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being, and he can still knock your freaking head into another dimension if he can catch you. The thing is, can he catch a 28-year-old guy who's on the top of his career and winning legitimate boxing matches? Rogan questioned.
Yeah.
No matter what you're taking and what they're doing for you, and you're still 58. Yeah. But 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones that lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being. Yeah. He still can knock your fucking head into another dimension.
I mean, he's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. Jake had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who's a legitimate boxer. That was a very good fight. And he just beat up Mike Perry, who was a bare-knuckle champion. He's a real fighter. He can fight, and if Mike Tyson and him are fighting and Mike can't catch him, then it's hard to tell, he added. If Mike Tyson and him are fighting, and he can't catch him, and Mike has bad knees or his back's bad, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him physically. Crowe then shared his experience of meeting Tyson and admitted how terrified he was of him.
The thing is, I was quite enjoying the second phase of Mike's life. You know what I mean? You know, he was terrifying as a boxer.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
The thing is, I was quite enjoying the second phase of Mike's life, the actor said. I was terrified of him as a boxer. He was terrifying. Even when I met him backstage at a stadium one time at a fight, I was like, I'm still terrified of you. What bothers me with this whole thing is that he's got to kind of slide back into that warrior, and I'm just not sure that he needed to do it. On the upcoming boxing event, Crowe said, I just hope for the both of them that it transcends the circus-type atmosphere. It's a legit fight and nobody gets hurt. Me at 60 versus me at 28. But it's Mike Tyson, so it's very different.
Oh.
He wants to fight Mike, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't give a if he's 55. That's still Mike Tyson.
Mike's in good shape too.
Oh my God.
Mike trains every day.
Rogan had earlier questioned why people often underestimate Jake Paul and instead advised them to forget him as a YouTuber and perceive him like they would perceive regular boxers. No, I mean people can take something away from them because they're YouTube people. I always tell people what? Just forget that Jake Paul is a YouTube guy and watch him box. Yeah, the kid can fight 100%.
Mixed martial arts. And Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see him holding the mitts for Tyson, and Tyson smashing the mitts, like, Jesus. That guy can still fuck you up.
He don't want to fight Mike.
In this world with hormone replacement and vitamins and
Rogan went ahead to highlight moments from Paul's fight against Tommy Fury as evidences of Paul's boxing ability. And that Tommy Fury fight really showed that. I mean, it goes to a split decision against a legit undefeated boxer. While he had a big question to ask from Jake Paul as to why he chose to fight the monstrous Tyson, he spoke about Tyson's unbelievable magnificence in the boxing ring and believed he was still as potent.
Paul's on the other side of the ring and he sees Mike Tyson just bobbing and weaving. He's going to have a recognition. He's going to look over and go, oh my God, that's really Mike Tyson. Like, look at this.
He approached the 31-year difference between the pair like it was nothing and boasted about Tyson's training intensity like a trainer would do to his trainee? No, why? I don't care if he's 55, that's still Mike Tyson. Mike's in good shape. Mike trains every day. He trains with Rafael Cordeiro, who's a legend in MMA. He runs King's Mixed Martial Arts. Rogan had nothing but praises for Mike Tyson, as well as his trainer, Rafael Cordeiro, who he referred to as a MMA legend and renowned trainer.
Power is the last thing to go, but the thing is the speed is still there. And I don't know what he did with, look at that, seriously. I don't know what he did with Roy Jones Jr., but in my mind, it looked like they made some sort of an agreement where Mike wasn't going to punch him in the face.
And Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see him holding the mitts for Tyson and Tyson smashing the mitts like Jesus, that guy can still knock you out. Talking to Mike Tyson just after he saw the sparring footage with Rafael Cordeiro, Joe Rogan told him, "But that's what I was seeing when I saw you hit the pads. I'm like, this isn't just working out. There was something going on, man. When you were working out with Cordeiro and you were ripping to the body and throwing those hooks, I was like, this is a man who is preparing to go to combat. This is not normal getting ready to work out stuff. That's why when I saw that video, I was like, oh,
mind-boggling.
Well, that's what I was seeing when I was seeing you hit the pads. I'm like, this isn't just working out. There was something going on, man. When you were working out with Cordeiro and you were ripping to the...
He also referenced Mike Tyson's last fight 4 years ago against Roy Jones Jr. He stated that the technology for recovery used by Mike and his team were sublime, and these technological tools would likely be at his disposal once again. With the additional impact of technology, Rogan tipped Mike for a routine victory.
With Rafael Cordeiro, who's a legend in MMA. He runs King's Mixed Martial Arts. And Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see...
In this world with hormone replacement and vitamins and healing, and he does all this like electrical muscular stimulation recovery stuff, when they were training Mike for that Roy Jones fight, like they produce state-of-the-art science. Like, I don't care if he's 55 years old, that guy will hurt you.
With hormone replacement and vitamins and he does all this like electrical muscular stimulation recovery stuff. Like when they were training Mike for that Roy Jones fight.
Funnily, Rogan held Mike Tyson in so much high regard that he felt Jake Paul might get starstruck when he sees him in the ring and really wakes to the reality that he's taking on Mike Tyson. If Jake Paul's on the other side of the ring and he sees Mike Tyson just bobbing and weaving it, he's going to have a recognition. Yeah, he's going to look over and God, that's really Mike Tyson.
If Jake Paul's on the other side of the ring and he sees Mike Tyson just bobbing and weaving, he's going to have a recognition. He's going to look over and go, oh my God, that's really Mike Tyson.
Rogan also looked back at Mike Tyson's match against Roy Jones Jr., sharing his sentiment that he felt an agreement held Tyson back from hitting Jones in the face. Evidently, most of Tyson's punches, except a few, were aimed at Jones's body.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm talking, you make it still at 55. At 55, the power is the last thing to go, but the thing is the speed is still there.
Look at this, dude. I'm talking, you make he's still at 55. At 55, the power is the last thing to go, but the speed is still there. I don't know what he did with Roy Jones Jr., but in my mind it looked like they made some sort of agreement that Mike wasn't going to punch him in the face. because like most of the hits that he hit him with, unless it was a jab or something like that, was to the body, yeah. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.